It's great. How are you enjoying the conference and the FIDIC conference so far?
Well, let me start by thanking you for having me, and I'm really enjoying it. I was here since yesterday. I had attended the first two sessions, the two workshops, and I'm enjoying today. Hopefully I will enjoy tomorrow as well.
Well, it's great to have you, and I'd like to ask you a little bit about the FIDIC books, if you wouldn't mind. And as we talked about yesterday, the FIDIC books
Right.
are kind of presented in a different form than other standard contracts. They focus on risk allocation, and they focus on procurement philosophy, design, bid, build, design, build, and
That's
then
right.
EPC. And as an employer, how do you find that layout works for you?
I think I must say it works very well. I mean, regardless of the contents on whether or not we adopt them as they are or to what extent, but the structure and the philosophy of and I think you mentioned that during the workshop yesterday that I think in the 1999 edition.
Mm-hmm.
The philosophy changed
Yes.
from a product based I would say form to a methodology,
Yes.
procurement methodology, which is really important for us. As I'm representing an employer organization, because we will be very much interested in ensuring that the methodology and the procurement strategy is very well reflected in the form and in the guide notes and the whole process that the FIDIC contract form part of it. So it's all, revolving around the theme of having it methodology based rather than a product based. Yeah.
Well, it's good to hear that, because we did, like you said, we did shift specifically from a product-focused type of procurement to a process-focused type of procurement. So, and aside from just the FIDIC conditions of contract that we publish, we also publish the procurement guide that was the guideline that was published in 2011 and just recently, and I think that was distributed as a copy
Yes.
at this conference.
Yeah.
And we also have quality-based selection and other types of publications that try and capture industry best practices and disseminate those. Do you find those useful as well to?
I really find them absolutely useful, because you can't have it single-handed. While you are focusing on the process, you have to have the vehicles to help you achieve the process. And I think FIDIC are very successful in this area, because with the presence and the existence of the guide notes and the procurement best practices, I think any employer who lacks relatively previous experience in the procurement field would find those guidelines and notes very useful. And I think the focus also on the quality-based selection is in the best interest of the employer. And I guess the FIDIC, like I said, as a structure and as is very diverse, which is good. I mean, you cover design and build, you cover EPC, turnkey, and you cover the construction, which is based on employer's design.
Yes. And
you have forms for consultancy agreements, you have subcontracting agreements, and I think this diversity is very good. And with the help of the guidelines and the explanatory notes and the best practices, I think the whole suite becomes a very valuable source of information, and for implementation as well. That's the whole idea.
Well, that's really
Yes.
it is our idea to make sure that we can give a usable, integrated product and make it useful for the procurement of various types of projects. But there's always room for improvement, I guess. So what recommendations would you have for us, or what would you think that might be something that we should look for doing in the future?
Well, I guess, like you said, you quite rightly mentioned it, there is always room for improvement. And
Yes.
improvement is a continuous process. And I think some of the issues I touched on earlier during the conference, I think the guidance notes, if they are let's say, expanded to become more elaborate, especially on some specific areas, like selection criteria, evaluation criteria. This will be really helpful. The recommended use and the scope and extent of different forms. I know it's there, but I picked on a specific example regarding the Green Book.
Yes.
And I think, and I guess I heard that in the industry as well, there is a growing need for, like, currently there's no happy medium between the green and the red books.
Yes.
So I think the industry needs something in between.
Where it can be fast without the technical complexity.
Medium value, you know, a little bit longer period, something in between the green and the red book. And I think also areas like the yellow book, you know, when you touch on areas like joint ventures, you know, the two-stage bidding, the evaluation, I mentioned that before. So there are areas for improvement. And I think that I must say that with the vehicles like the contracts committee, the task groups, the unified, I mean, I think you are already on top of the case. So you have the vehicle. I think if it doesn't happen today, it will happen in the future. So that's the good thing about you know, having the means to monitor, get feedback from the users like we're doing today, I mean, and tomorrow during the conference, and then try and reflect that in, you know, updates and updated versions to the existing forms.
Well, thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Pleasure is really mine.
Thank you very much for your input and your feedback.
Thanks a lot, Aisha. Thanks for having me. Appreciate
it.
Thank you.